Okay, let's unpack this. We have an absolute mountain of source material today.
We really do.
Over 60 incredibly common English idioms that you, the listener, specifically shared with us for this deep dive.
Yeah, and these are so important.
If you want to move beyond just, simple translation and start understanding what native speakers actually mean, these phrases are the true currency of fluency.
Exactly. Our mission today is to give you that knowledge shortcut you're looking for, but to do it right, to do it thoroughly.
Right.
Idioms are, I think, the biggest barrier to sounding truly fluent because the literal words, they just don't match the meaning.
Not at all.
So we're going to spend some serious time breaking these phrases down, understanding their surprisingly rigid structure, and giving you the exact context for how to use them.
It's all about getting that deep, meaningful knowledge, but quickly.
Yeah.
And that structural rigidity you mentioned, that's the first most crucial hurdle, isn't it? You can't just treat these like flexible vocabulary words.
You absolutely cannot.
You can't just switch out a noun or an article.
No. That's the fundamental rule of idioms. They are words in a fixed order that have a non-literal meaning.
Okay, let's use a classic example.
Let's break the ice. We all know it means to start a conversation or do something to overcome that initial awkwardness when people are meeting for the first time.
Like sharing a fun fact about yourself or playing a little game. It has a clear social function.
Precisely. It's all about making people comfortable.
But the structure.
The moment you lose the fixed nature of that phrase, you lose the meaning entirely.
So if I say, we broke ice.
That means you literally shattered frozen water, maybe with a hammer.
And we broke an ice.
It's grammatically wrong, and it completely destroys the non-literal meaning.
So for true fluency, it has to be, we broke the ice.
That's it. That definite article is non-negotiable. The phrase has to be preserved. Break the ice.
And of course, the grammar.
Of course. You have to conjugate the verb break correctly. If you did it last night, you broke the ice. If you're doing it right now, you are breaking the ice.
If you forget that, the whole thing just collapses.
It collapses right back into its literal parts, and you haven't mastered the idiom.
Got it. Fixed order, non-literal meaning, and pay attention to the grammar. So, to tackle these 60-plus phrases, we've organized the material into 3 core areas for you.
Right.
We've got the common idioms for general social conversation, then the specific phrases you need for the workplace, and finally, all the ways we use idioms to build these vivid personality profiles.
Let's dive right in with the social essentials.
Okay, section 1, general conversation and social dynamics.
Let's do it.
So our first 15 idioms are all about how people interact, from starting a conversation to conflict to describing a great performance.
And expressing your mood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So beyond break the ice, which gets us started, we sometimes get into the world of sensitive information.
Oh, yes.
And that brings us to spill the beans.
Spill the beans, a great one. It just means to reveal a secret or disclose information, usually when you didn't mean to.
So it's an accident.
It's often associated with surprise, yeah. You didn't realize the secret was still a secret, and you let it out.
I think we've all been there, right? That panic after you realize, oh no, I just spilled the beans about the surprise party.
Totally. But let's get into the deep dive part of this. Why beans? I mean, why not spill the marbles or spill the soup?
Yeah, good question.
Well, one of the popular theories, even if it's not 100% confirmed, it gives you a really useful anchor. It might come from ancient Greece.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, where secret societies or even voting processes used beans. A white bean was a yes, and a black bean was a no.
Okay.
So if the jar holding all those beans was accidentally knocked over before the votes were counted,
The secret was out. You spilled the beans.
the secret of the outcome was prematurely revealed to everyone.
Wow, so the visual of spilling isn't just carelessness. It's about revealing a hidden decision.
Yeah.
That gives it more weight.
It really does.
Yeah.
But the context in modern use is very flexible. You can use it defensively, like, don't worry, I won't spill the beans. Or, like in a movie thriller.
As a threat.
Exactly. We know you have the information. Spill the beans now. It implies a lot of pressure.
Okay, something less intense. If you're being playful, maybe a little deceptive, you might pull one's leg.
Yeah, that's just teasing or joking with someone in a playful way. It's totally harmless. Low stakes.
It's all about humor, not causing any actual distress.
For sure. You might joke with a coworker about having to work late, let them panic for a second, then laugh and say, relax, I'm just pulling your leg.
And notice the grammar there.
Yes. It requires that possessive pronoun, pull my leg, pull his leg. You can't just say pull leg.
So if someone is getting way too serious about something small, I could ask, are you pulling my leg right now? To check if they're joking.
Exactly. It's a super common way to check for sarcasm in a friendly chat.
Okay, moving from social games to performance. When someone does something truly excellent, just exceeds all expectations.
You say they knocked it out of the park.
A classic baseball reference.
Oh yeah, it immediately makes you think of a home run. A massive, undeniable success. It means doing something exceptionally well.
Like, the marketing team knocked it out of the park with their campaign this quarter.
Perfect example.
Now, I noticed in our source material there was a discussion about the placement of the word it. Can we dive into that? It seems like a small detail that really signals fluency.
It is a critical nuance.
Yeah.
You can place the pronoun it before you specify the thing, or you can place the subject directly. Both are correct.
But they feel a little different.
They do. For instance, the team knocked it out of the park with the launch. Here, it is just a placeholder for the general achievement.
Okay.
Or you can say, the team knocked the launch out of the park. Knowing you have that flexibility and using that placeholder it sometimes, it just makes you sound way more comfortable with the idiom.
That's a great tip. So when you achieve that kind of success, you must feel incredible.
You do.
You might find yourself on cloud 9.
Which just means to be extremely happy. Blissfully happy, even. It describes a peak emotional state of joy.
But let's pause for the grammar here. This is an important one.
It is. You have to remember to properly conjugate the verb to be. It is never I cloud 9.
Right.
It's always I am on cloud 9, or he has been on cloud 9 since he got the promotion.
And the origin of cloud 9, is there a cloud 1 through 8?
There is. This actually comes from meteorology.
No way.
Yeah, historically, the U.S. Weather Bureau classified cloud types by number. And cloud 9, or cumulonimbus clouds, are the highest clouds. They're these towering mountains of moisture that reach extreme altitudes.
So the phrase captures that feeling of being elevated way above all the normal stress.
A state of sublime happiness. Exactly.
Okay, let's come back down to earth and into some difficulty. Sometimes you're trapped between a rock and a hard place.
This is a deeply stressful position to be in. It means you're faced with two difficult or undesirable options.
And either choice leads to a negative result.
Right. There is no good outcome. The sources gave great examples. Choosing between a promotion that means moving away from your family.
So you sacrifice personal connection.
Or telling a difficult truth that might hurt a friend, and then you sacrifice the relationship. You're unhappy either way.
So it's not just a difficult decision, it's a no-win scenario.
Absolutely. It implies a forced sacrifice. And if you've already made a choice that failed, you might find yourself in hot water.
Meaning you're in trouble.
The trouble has already arrived. If you forgot your anniversary, you are now in hot water with your partner.
Right. The consequence is happening.
Exactly. If a company violated safety protocols, they are now in hot water with regulators.
It describes that immediate disciplinary phase after a mistake.
And if that mistake is so bad that it results in total failure, you might have to start from scratch.
To start from scratch is to begin from the very, very beginning, usually because the first attempt failed completely or all the work was lost.
So if a project crashes and you lose all the data, you have to start from scratch. But we also use it positively to describe a new, fresh start. Like, I sold my company and decided to start a new career in architecture from scratch.
That sounds overwhelming.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to force yourself to do something that painful but necessary.
Yes, you have to bite the bullet.
This one refers to forcing yourself to do something unpleasant or difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's unavoidable.
It really evokes that mental strength you need to endure something awful. Think about, filing your taxes or cleaning a disgusting garage or dealing with a really difficult client.
The history of this one is particularly intense, isn't it?
It is. The phrase supposedly comes from the time before modern anesthesia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, particularly during military conflicts. When a soldier needed surgery, like an amputation, and there was no anesthetic.
What did they do?
They'd be given a lead bullet to clench between their teeth. It was to help them endure the pain and stop them from screaming or biting their tongue.
So biting the bullet literally meant preparing for necessary agonizing pain.
It did. And that context just transforms the phrase from a simple obligation into an act of real resilience.
Let's hit the grammar note here, too.
Yes. The idiom is to bite the bullet. But if you're talking about yesterday, you bit the bullet.
That past simple conjugation is key.
It is. Learners sometimes forget that bite is an irregular verb. You have already bitten the bullet if you finish the hard task.
Got it. So who forces you to bite the bullet? Well, whoever calls the shots.
That means they are the person in control. They make the decisions. It defines the power structure, whether it's in a house, a team, or a company.
So you might ask on a new project, who calls the shots around here?
Exactly. Who calls the shots on the budget? It's just seeking clarity on who has the authority.
And sometimes the person calling the shots gives you a break. They let you off the hook.
And that feeling is pure relief. It means being released from responsibility or punishment or some difficult situation.
So if a coworker covers my shift when I'm sick.
They've let you off the hook. It's an act of forgiveness or release from a heavy burden.
But if that release doesn't happen, and you just dwell on a past failure,
then you are crying over spilled milk.
This is a criticism, right?
It's a critique of negative thinking, yeah.
Got
It means being way too upset about something, usually minor, that you just can't fix.
The message is, move on.
Exactly. Focus on moving forward. If the client fired us, the relationship is over. Let's not cry over spilled milk. Let's figure out how to keep the next client.
It's a call for rational, future-focused action. Okay? Before you get to those hard decisions, you might meet someone who avoids the issue entirely by beating around the bush.
That means avoiding the main topic, speaking indirectly, often because the subject is awkward or confrontational.
So if my boss keeps talking about optimizing efficiency,
And you think layoffs are coming, they're definitely beating around the bush. For personal stuff, the advice is usually, just ask them out. Don't beat around the bush.
that's a strong contrast to how quickly modern trends move. If everyone starts doing something popular, they are.
Jumping on the bandwagon?
This means joining or supporting something just because it's popular or trendy.
Yeah, and it can carry a little bit of a negative connotation. It can suggest a lack of independent thought, or maybe that you're just being opportunistic.
Like companies jumping on the influencer bandwagon.
Exactly, because it's the popular way to market, even if it doesn't really fit their brand.
But if everyone is doing it, that sense of uniqueness is gone, and the product or the talent becomes.
A dime a dozen.
This means they're very common, cheap, or easy to find.
And this phrase carries a powerful and really crucial negative connotation. It implies a lack of uniqueness or special value.
And the origin.
It comes from a time when a dime 10 cents could literally buy 12 of something, making that item extremely common and cheap.
So if I start a new business and my idea is like 10 others out there, I can assume my idea is a dime a dozen.
Exactly. The idea is common, so its value is low. Talented singers might be a dime a dozen in a big city, but those who can really execute or who have a unique vision, they are rare.
That's a powerful point. And it leads us perfectly into the competitive dynamics of the professional world.
It does.
Section 2, idioms for the professional environment.
All right, let's get into it.
Now we are shifting our focus completely to the office, the project, the politics. We've got 22 idioms for things like clarity, project management, and handling risk.
These are essential for navigating the professional landscape.
For sure. And success in the workplace, it really requires alignment. So we have 2 key idioms for that, and they need careful distinction.
Yes. See eye to eye and be on the same page.
They seem similar.
They are, but the contexts are slightly different. And mastering that difference, it just instantly signals competence.
Okay, so see eye to eye.
To see eye to eye means to agree with someone on a conceptual or strategic level. It focuses on the alignment of your viewpoints.
And it's often used in the negative.
Very often. My boss and I didn't see eye to eye on the future direction of the company.
Okay, so if we see eye to eye, we agree on the big picture. What about be on the same page?
That one is more about shared understanding or tactical agreement. It implies that everyone has the same information and is working toward the same goal in the same way. So the team might agree conceptually, they see eye to eye, but if they don't understand the timeline, they aren't on the same page about how to execute.
And you often hear people say, get on the same page.
Exactly. We use that transitional verb get a lot. We need to get the whole sales team on the same page before the meeting. It means we need to standardize the information.
That's a fantastic distinction. Eye to eye for strategy, same page for execution.
Perfect.
So if you achieve that shared understanding and someone makes a really precise, accurate observation,
You say they hit the nail on the head.
which is high praise.
It's very specific high praise. It means you described exactly what's causing a problem. Your analysis is 100% correct and insightful.
The image is striking the nail perfectly, not glancing off it.
Exactly. The consultant really hit the nail on the head when she described the bottleneck in our supply chain. It's used when clarity finally arrives.
Now, for something necessary but less precise, ballpark figure.
This is just an approximation or a rough estimate. It's a classic sports reference.
The ballpark.
Yeah, the ballpark is this huge stadium area. It represents a large general range, not a precise location.
So when a manager asks for a ballpark figure for a budget,
They don't want the exact number. They just need a quick estimate and see if the project is even feasible at all.
when is it okay to ask for a ballpark figure, and when is it a huge mistake?
It's totally appropriate in the early exploratory stages of a project when you can't be precise. You might say, if I had to ballpark it, I'd say the cost is around $100,000, give or take.
And when is it a mistake?
It becomes a mistake when you're in the final contractual stage. Asking for a ballpark figure right before you sign the documents, that would just signal you're totally unprepared.
Good to know. Okay, let's move to managing the actual workload. Most of us can relate to this next one. Have a lot on one's plate.
That phrase visually represents just being overloaded with work. It means you're so busy, you have so many tasks, that your plate is literally full.
And we use it to manage expectations or decline more work.
All the time? I can't review that report right now. I already have a lot on my plate with the merger, and the possessive pronoun is key. My plate. Your plate.
Okay. When you start a new process or technology, you need time to learn it.
You need to get the hang of it.
This means to become skilled with or familiar with something, right?
Yeah, after an initial period of difficulty, it suggests a learning curve that you've now overcome. You've gone from confusion to confidence.
The new software was tricky, but after a week, I finally got the hang of it.
Perfect.
Now, in the quest for efficiency, some people try to find shortcuts, which brings us to a really negative one.
Yeah.
Cut corners.
This is a dangerous professional practice. It means doing something in the quickest, easiest way possible, but sacrificing quality, safety, or ethics.
So if a builder cuts corners by using cheap materials,
The building is weaker. If a finance team cuts corners on compliance checks, the company is at huge legal risk. It's a very negative idiom that leads to a terrible reputation.
that's a great clarification. Cutting corners is not the same as being efficient. It's about compromising standards. But sometimes, to maintain high standards, you have to push yourself incredibly hard. You have to work late.
You have to burn the midnight oil.
This just means working late into the night.
Yeah, usually because of intense deadlines. The phrase comes from the time before electric light, when you had to literally burn oil in a lamp to work after dark. It signals great effort, often at a personal cost.
Our source material had an interesting philosophical take on this one.
It did. While it signals dedication, there's also the reality that this practice often leads to decreased productivity the next day because you're sleep deprived. So you might tell your boss you were burning the midnight oil, but you might also tell your partner, I know I burned the midnight oil, but now I'm paying for it.
So the idiom highlights the effort, but modern life reminds us of the consequence.
For sure.
And if all that effort fails anyway,
We go back to the drawing board.
that phrase feels pretty definitive.
It is. It's a non-negotiable step when a previous attempt has failed and you need a fundamental redesign. The drawing board makes you think of architects or engineers going back to the foundational plans to rethink everything.
The marketing campaign failed, so it's back to the drawing board.
Exactly.
Okay, when you're working along and something unexpected pops up,
You hit a snag.
What's a snag?
A snag is an unexpected problem or difficulty, a small, unforeseen obstacle. It's usually a temporary setback, not a total failure that sends you back to the drawing board.
So, an example.
We were ready to launch, but we hit a snag when the supplier couldn't deliver the servers on time. You usually fix a snag and move on.
But if those snags keep happening, or if your behavior becomes risky, you might find yourself.
On thin ice.
And this is a potent warning.
It is. It means you're in a very risky situation where failure means a harsh punishment. The imagery is clear. You're walking on ice so thin it could crack at any moment.
So if a manager tells an employee, this is the third time you're late, you're on thin ice.
That employee is one step away from being fired.
So is on thin ice different from in hot water?
Yes, and this is another crucial fluency distinction.
Okay.
On thin ice is the warning phase. You are risking trouble, but the consequence hasn't landed yet,
And in hot water?
which we discussed earlier means the trouble has already arrived. You're facing the consequences now.
Great distinction. Now, when the future of a project is still undecided, we say things are
Up in the air.
uncertain, unresolved.
Yep. The status of a company merger might be up in the air until the board approves it. Your vacation plans might be up in the air until you book the flight. It just conveys a state of pure uncertainty.
And the natural positive progression from things being up in the air is when they are.
In the works.
Which means they are now in progress.
Right. They're being developed or finalized. It signals active movement. If the conference status was up in the air, now the planning is in the works.
Got it. And sometimes we all face the same external pressure. We are.
In the same boat.
To be in the same boat means sharing the same difficult situation as someone else.
Yeah. During a recession, two competing companies might both be struggling. They're in the same boat. It's an idiom used to build solidarity or just to complain together.
Okay, let's talk about power dynamics. If someone gets something complicated done, despite all the obstacles, they might have had to.
Pull strings.
This means to use one's personal influence or connections, often behind the scenes, to control a situation.
The imagery is great, right? It refers to puppet strings. The puppeteer, the influential person, controls the puppet or the outcome indirectly.
Can you give a business example of that?
Sure. Let's say a project was rejected by the review board, but a senior VP decides it has to happen. They might pull some strings with the board members, using their personal influence to get the decision reversed.
And it applies socially, too.
Oh, yeah. If you managed to get VIP tickets to a sold-out concert, you probably had to pull some strings.
Now, the opposite feeling, being utterly powerless.
Have one's hands tied.
This means being unable to act or help because of external rules or constraints.
Typically rigid policy, budget limits, bureaucracy. It's often used by managers to deliver bad news while sort of shifting the blame elsewhere.
Right. I know you deserve a bigger bonus, but my hands are tied by corporate policy.
That's the classic example. The phrase suggests an external force is restraining them.
But sometimes people deliberately restrain others to save themselves. And this is professional betrayal.
This is throw someone under the bus.
A severe indictment of someone's character.
It is. It means to blame or sacrifice someone else for your own personal gain, or to avoid being blamed yourself.
And the context we need to stress here is that this often happens even when the decisions were shared.
That's the key. If two coworkers collaborate on a failed project, and one publicly blames the other to save their own job, that person threw the other under the bus. It's a complete violation of trust.
If the pressure gets to be too much, some people decide the fight isn't worth it. They
throw in the towel.
This means to give up or surrender.
It comes from boxing. When a boxer's corner decided their fighter was too injured to continue, they would literally throw a towel into the ring to signal surrender.
So we use it for any challenging situation.
Any at all. I found learning Japanese so difficult I almost threw in the towel, but I decided to bite the bullet and continue.
Nice combination there. Okay, moving toward resolution. If you're waiting for a crucial update, you need to
Keep one's eyes peeled.
stay alert and watchful for something specific.
It suggests active, focused observation. Your coworker might say, keep your eyes peeled for the email from the client because the deadline is tight.
Even better than just watching is being truly prepared. Being.
On the ball.
This is a highly positive professional trait.
Oh, yeah. It means being alert, sharp, and quick to understand or respond. Someone who's on the ball anticipates problems and acts before they become a crisis.
Which is required for meeting tight deadlines.
Absolute.
But life isn't always certain. When the outcome is unknown, you might,
Cross one's fingers.
signifying hope for good luck or a positive outcome.
And the physical gesture of crossing the index and middle fingers is really common in North America. It often goes with the phrase.
It can even be a simple reply. Someone says, I hope the interview goes well.
And you just reply, fingers crossed.
And the history of that gesture.
It's pretty deep. It might trace back to early Christian practices where two people would cross fingers to wish for a common blessing, or maybe the gesture just looks like a cross.
So it universally signals reliance on luck.
Over certainty, yeah.
And finally, when the negotiating is over and a resolution is achieved,
You cut a deal.
meaning you reach a formal agreement.
Usually after a period of really intense negotiation or compromise, the two companies argued for weeks, but they finally cut a deal yesterday. It emphasizes the successful end of a difficult arrangement.
Okay. Section 3. Idioms for describing people.
This is the most colorful section.
It is. We've covered social interactions and the workplace. Now let's get into the labels for people themselves. 25 unique labels to build these vivid personality profiles.
Both the good and the deeply annoying.
Exactly. Let's start with the positive traits. First up, a people person.
A people person is someone who just genuinely enjoys interacting with others and is great at building relationships. They thrive in social situations.
And the grammar note here is important.
It is. It has to be preceded by the article a, and we often intensify it. You'd say, our new manager is a real people person. You can't leave that article out.
Okay. If they're relentlessly driven and proactive,
They are a go-getter.
ambitious, takes initiative.
And just relentlessly drives toward their goals. This is a highly valued trait in fast-paced jobs. This person doesn't wait for permission.
She's a total go-getter, finishing the proposal before the deadline was even set.
Perfect.
For quick intelligence, you might call them.
A smart cookie.
This is a casual, kind of fun way to say someone is intelligent or clever.
Yeah, it avoids sounding too formal. Don't underestimate the quiet intern. She's a smart cookie. She figured out that algorithm flaw in 2 hours.
The ultimate extrovert
A
is
social butterfly.
very outgoing, loves to socialize, and can easily move between different groups at a party.
The butterfly imagery is great. It suggests lateness and constant movement. They're rarely in one spot for long.
Does the butterfly imagery ever imply they're a little bit unreliable? Because butterflies are hard to catch.
That's a great question, really getting into the nuance. While the main meaning is just sociable, in a rare, very critical context. If a social butterfly spends too much time networking and not enough time on deep work, it could imply a mild lack of focus. But generally, it's a positive term.
Okay? Someone you can trust for honest feedback is
A straight shooter.
honest and straightforward. They communicate directly.
They give you information and constructive criticism without beating around the bush. You know exactly where you stand with a straight shooter.
And finally, for the positive traits, the generalist.
A jack of all trades.
This person is skilled in many different areas.
They have a broad, versatile skill set. They can manage accounts, fix the office computer, and organize the corporate retreat. The key nuance is that they are not necessarily an expert in any single area.
They provide flexibility.
Exactly. And importantly, despite the name Jack, this idiom is totally gender neutral.
Good to know. Okay, let's discuss influence. If someone has significant authority, they might be called
A big shot.
a person of great importance or influence.
Yeah, in a particular field or organization. The connotation is really unstable, though. The context totally determines the tone.
How does the tone swing?
Well, it can be neutral or even a little admiring. Don't worry about speaking to the CEO. She's a big shot, but she's very approachable.
Okay.
But it often turns negative when it's used to describe someone acting superior or arrogant.
Ah.
Ever since he got promoted, he's been acting like a big shot. In that case, it implies ego.
Moving from influence to inflexibility. The opposite of someone who embraces new ideas is someone who is
Set in one's ways.
resistant to change, prefers things to stay the same.
Often because they believe their established methods are just better. They might instantly dismiss new tech or new ideas. And crucially, you need the correct possessive pronoun.
Which is often misused.
Very often. My father is set in his ways, or I guess I'm set in my ways.
If they take that rigidity a step further, insisting on absolute conformity.
They are a stickler.
A stickler insists on following rules strictly and hates bending them.
Yeah, they focus on precision and protocol. The full idiom is a stickler for the rules, but natives often just shorten it to a stickler.
Our compliance officer is a stickler.
Exactly. It's a positive trait in a safety-critical job, but maybe kind of annoying in social settings.
Okay, now for the fun, or maybe painful part, negative habits and difficult personalities. Starting with a lack of energy.
A couch potato.
This is someone who spends a ton of time sitting, watching TV, being inactive.
It implies laziness or a lack of drive, so it's usually used negatively, or to describe past behavior you've changed. During college, I was a couch potato, but now I'm a go-getter.
If they turn that excess energy into worrying, they are
A worrywart.
someone who worries excessively, often about things that are unlikely to even happen.
Yeah, if a project isn't due for weeks, but they are staying up all night imagining worst-case scenarios, they are a worrywart. And they often stress other people out.
The one who pinches pennies too tightly is
Cheapskate.
unwilling to spend money, but with the clear negative sound.
It's more critical than just calling someone frugal. It suggests meanness or an unwillingness to contribute socially. Like the coworker who never chips in for a group gift.
Okay, if someone is emotionally distant, they are
The cold fish.
emotionally distant, unresponsive, or unfriendly. The complete opposite of a people person.
Right. They make very little effort to connect and can seem uncaring. Shyness might be the cause, but the effect is still perceived as emotional coldness.
The person who insists on being the smartest in the room is
A know-it-all.
this person behaves as though they know everything and constantly interrupts or refuses to listen to others.
They dominate conversations and just lack intellectual humility. And because this is so universally annoying, it's often used as a negative command.
Right. Don't act like a know-it-all. We need everyone's input.
Exactly.
And finally, the person who sucks the joy out of the room.
A wet blanket.
Someone who dampens the mood or kills the fun by being negative or overly serious at the wrong time.
If everyone is celebrating a small win and the wet blanket immediately starts talking about next week's impossible deadline, they just drain all the energy.
You don't want to be the wet blanket.
You really don't.
Okay. Clumsiness and unpredictability. We all know the person who constantly gives unwanted advice.
The backseat driver.
This person tries to give instructions or control a situation that is not their responsibility.
And while it started literally a passenger in the back telling the driver how to drive, the figurative use is way more common at work.
Like a coworker telling you how to handle your presentation.
Even though they aren't leading it, yep, that's a backseat driver.
If they are constantly snooping into everyone else's business.
They are a busybody.
Overly interested in other people's private matters, often prying and gossiping.
This person crosses professional boundaries all the time. The example of the neighbor constantly looking over the fence to see what you're doing. That perfectly captures the nosy intrusion of a busybody.
The person who creates chaos through carelessness is
A loose cannon.
unpredictable and potentially dangerous because they don't follow rules or common sense.
Their actions can cause serious, unforeseen negative consequences for the whole team. A manager might describe a failing employee as a loose cannon right before firing them.
And the person who is just plain clumsy, especially in delicate situations,
Is a bull in a china shop.
very clumsy, physically awkward, or careless, especially in environments that require delicacy or precision.
The image is just so vivid, a large, heavy animal trying to navigate a shop filled with fragile, expensive ceramics. You immediately picture the destruction.
And we have to pause for the key detail here for our listeners.
We do. The china in this phrase absolutely refers to delicate porcelain or ceramic ware.
Not the country.
Not the country. It is the fragility of the object being handled that makes the idiom so powerful. You wouldn't ask someone who is like a bull in a china shop to help with delicate negotiations.
Not a chance. Okay, let's end with some unique descriptive profiles, starting with a dark horse.
A dark horse is someone or something not well known, not favored to win, but who has the surprising potential to succeed.
Unexpected winners.
In competitions, elections, or for promotions. The term comes from horse racing, referring to an unknown horse that wins the race.
No one expected her to be promoted so quickly. She was a dark horse candidate.
Perfect.
The person who prefers handling projects on their own is
A lone wolf.
someone who prefers to work independently and doesn't like being part of a group.
And while a lone wolf can be highly effective, this profile often conflicts with modern companies that really value teamwork and collaboration.
The person who thrives on routine is
A creature of habit.
someone who strongly prefers routines and does things the same way all the time.
Eating the same breakfast for 10 years, taking the same route to work. While this can signal reliability, it often implies resistance to change and difficulty adapting.
When someone new comes in and is instantly positive and energizing, they are
A breath of fresh air.
someone or something new, refreshing, and that brings positive change to a stagnant situation.
A new coworker with revolutionary ideas, or an interactive presentation after a long series of boring ones, they just instantly lift the mood.
A fun person, though often disruptive, is
A class clown.
a person, usually a child or young adult, who uses humor or playful troublemaking to entertain others, typically in a structured setting like a school.
Yeah, their role is usually defined by benign intentions and humor, even if they are a bit disruptive.
And finally, someone or something truly difficult to understand or overcome.
A tough nut to crack.
And this applies to both people and complex problems.
It does. It means someone or something is difficult to understand, deal with, or solve. Tim is a tough nut to crack if it's hard to get him to open up.
And a technical issue that's been bugging the team for weeks.
And it's also a tough nut to crack. It just emphasizes deep, sustained difficulty.
Wow. That was a truly necessary and comprehensive deep dive.
It really was.
We didn't just rattle off definitions. We spent time unpacking over 60 of the most common idioms native speakers use. We covered the full spectrum.
We did. Office politics, assessing alignment.
To detailing every flavor of personality quirk you can imagine.
And this detailed focus on technical usage and context is the key to true comprehension.
Right.
When you understand the cultural and sometimes the historical context embedded in these phrases, why we use beans for secrets or a bullet for pain, you move beyond just hearing the literal words.
You get this social gravity.
You comprehend the nuanced meaning, and that is what accelerates your fluency and your ability to navigate complex situations.
What really stands out to me is how much of this rich, nuanced language is built entirely on physical metaphors.
That's a great point.
We use sports, knock it out of the park, ballpark figure, kitchen disasters, spill the beans, spilled milk, and physical actions like pull strings and bite the bullet.
That observation highlights a profound truth about language. If we look at all the idioms we covered, so many of them rely on these concrete, visceral images or old practices to simplify and communicate really abstract and complex human behaviors.
Yeah, like risk management, influence, conflict,
decision-making,
the law.
all of it.
So here's the final provocative thought for you to mull over as you integrate these 60-plus phrases into your lexicon.
Okay.
Considering how complex modern life is and how nuanced our emotions and professional scenarios are, why do we as humans rely so heavily on these centuries-old physical metaphors, the drawing board, the ice, the china shop, to quickly categorize and communicate the abstract realities of our lives? What does this reliance on the physical past tell us about how we process complexity today?
That's something to think about as you find yourself confidently using these phrases and realizing you've truly knocked this learning journey out of the park.
Until the next deep dive, keep those eyes peeled for new insights. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are doing something a little bit different, something I think is remarkably strategic. We have this stack of sources that, if you just glance at them, they seem incredibly mundane. We're talking about 50 short, simple sentences.
Right, like things you'd find in a language course.
Exactly. They were actually collected as a language learning tool. But when you stack them all together, a really clear pattern starts to emerge.
Yeah, it really does.
What we actually have here is a surprisingly detailed 50-point blueprint for an organized, focused, and truly optimal workday.
It's almost like an accidental masterclass in behavioral architecture. Our mission today is basically to strip away that simple language and expose the deep professional insight that's, embedded within these daily phrases.
Okay, so we're reverse engineering productivity from everyday habits.
Precisely. We are treating this 50-point list of habits as a complete system. A system for self-control, for time management, and crucially, for energy preservation. For you, the learner, this isn't just about ticking boxes to be more productive. It's about creating the mental space and the consistency you need to really absorb and apply new knowledge effectively.
I like that. So the mission is to dissect the why behind these seemingly simple actions. Things like, from the precise moment you log in until you formally log out at the end of the day. And to understand exactly how these small, repeatable, conscious decisions can lead to, major control over your professional environment. It's like we're fighting back against information overload by introducing supreme structure.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint step by step. Let's start with the beginning, the psychological leap into the workday.
Right. So this first phase, what we're calling the morning launch, is all about the transition.
The transition from not working to working.
Exactly. The sources teach us that highly effective people don't just, drift into their workday. They execute a structured switch, both psychologically and physically. The goal here is to establish control right from the get-go.
You want to prevent the tasks of the day before, or personal distractions, from leaking into that critical first hour.
That's the key. You're building a firewall.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. The very first action mentioned is both definitive and digital. The first habit is, I log into my computer when I arrive. It sounds so basic.
It does, but it's not. The source really emphasizes this as the very first signal. It's the moment that the preparation for tasks has officially begun.
So it's more than just turning on a machine.
Oh, absolutely. It acts as a digital demarcation line. Just think about the psychological difference for a second.
Okay.
You could check work notifications on your personal phone while you're walking to your desk. We all do it.
Guilty.
Right. But compare that to sitting down, maybe taking a deep breath, and then formally logging into the machine. When you log in, you are confirming a boundary.
You're saying, I am now at work.
You're saying, I am ready to engage with my tools and my professional attention is now claimed. This single act prevents what we call intentional fragmentation before the day even really begins.
Attentional fragmentation. I like that term.
It's a real problem. If you start with your phone, you expose yourself to personal texts, news headlines, social media, all before that protective firewall of your intention is fully up.
So logging in is like closing the door and flipping the on switch for your professional brain.
That's the perfect analogy.
Okay, so following that digital commitment, we have something more personal, a sensory anchor. I make a fresh cup of coffee before starting. Is this really just about the caffeine? Or is there something deeper going on here?
It is profoundly psychological. It extends so much further than just the physiological kick from the caffeine.
I always suspected that.
This ritual, it serves as a critical bridge. It's a moment of autonomous, low-stakes task execution. Research shows that consistent routines, especially sensory ones,
Like the smell of coffee, the sound of the machine.
exactly, those things create powerful cognitive momentum. While the water is boiling or the machine is whirring, your brain is actually transitioning. It's moving from that diffuse, relaxed state of home life to the focused, analytic state you need for work.
So you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of brain power, which lets the rest of your brain sort of warm up.
Precisely. You're letting the high-level cognitive machinery warm up slowly. The common thread across high achievers isn't always what they do, but the sheer consistency of the small, repeatable routine that anchors their shift into focus. It's a moment of mindful transition before you just plunge into the cognitive chaos of your inbox.
Right, before the day attacks you. And once that mental machinery is warm, the blueprint forces a vital link, a link between the present and the past. I usually review yesterday's notes. Why is this a mandatory habit? Why not just dive into the most urgent-looking email?
Because that's a trap. This habit is pure efficiency, and it's realized by minimizing the cost of context switching.
Okay, that mental gear shifting we talked about.
Yes. The most expensive mental resource we use every morning is the time we spend just trying to remember where we left off.
I feel that. It can take me 15 minutes just to figure out what I was doing.
It can take 20 minutes, easily. If you finished a complex report at 5 p.m. yesterday, and you walk in this morning and immediately open some new unrelated project, you've just wasted all that time trying to reestablish the mental framework of the report you should be finishing.
So reviewing notes is like a self-guided knowledge transfer.
It's exactly that. You're bringing the context, the half-finished thoughts, the critical variables from yesterday directly into today's focus. It creates a seamless flow. It ensures the end of one workday and the start of the next operate as one continuous, efficient sprint.
And for you, the learner, that's crucial. It solidifies the retention of what you learned yesterday, making sure that learning isn't fractured by the overnight break.
Absolutely. You're not starting from zero every morning.
Okay, that makes total sense. So once the mind is focused and connected to the previous day's work, the strategy shifts to organizational awareness. And the blueprint immediately jumps to a shared reality. I check the team calendar every morning. What's the strategic function here?
This moves organization from being a siloed personal thing to a collaborative requirement.
Because your time isn't really your own.
In the modern workplace, it's rarely 100% your own. If you're part of any kind of team, failing to check the calendar is basically failing to participate in the shared timeline, this quick scan. It's a proactive identification of potential landmines.
Landmines, okay. Like what?
Well, did a critical meeting get moved to an earlier time? Is your boss suddenly out of the office? Is there an unexpected deadline or a major team announcement you missed? It takes less than 60 seconds.
A minute.
1 minute. But it calibrates your entire daily time budget. It prevents you from, say, scheduling a 2-hour block of deep focus time only to realize 10 minutes in that you were supposed to be in a mandatory meeting.
Right. So that upfront investment prevents massive disruption later in the day.
Totally.
This calendar check then sets the stage for communication triage. The source mandates I answer urgent emails first. And the rule is to immediately reply to messages needing a quick response before starting any major task. How do we define urgent here without getting sucked into the inbox vortex?
That is the core challenge, isn't it? And the blueprint handles it, I think, brilliantly by creating layers.
Layers, okay.
The initial urgent rule is strictly for high-impact communication. Things that are blocking someone else's work or things that require a fast, definitive yes or no response.
So you're unblocking your team.
You're being a good organizational citizen. You clear the debris that prevents the rest of the team from moving forward. The key here, though, is strict time boxing. You dedicate 5, maybe 10 minutes. You identify the critical 3 emails, you answer them, and you stop.
You have to resist the temptation to just keep scrolling.
You have to. You resist diving into the low-stakes, high-volume stuff that comes later.
Right. Because the blueprint doesn't stop there. It then connects this immediate action to a larger goal. The habit of, I respond to all emails by noon. Why is the specificity of noon so critical here? Why not just sometime this afternoon?
Because the specificity of noon transforms a vague desire into an executable task. It's a powerful application of what's called Parkinson's law.
Which is?
Work expands to fill the time available for its completion.
Ah, right. So if you give yourself all day, it'll take all day.
Exactly. By setting a strict time-bound goal for clearing the bulk of your inbox by lunchtime, you force yourself to be efficient. If you just tell yourself, oh, I'll do emails sometime this afternoon, it becomes this low-grade distraction, the task you were always about to do.
It just hangs over your head.
It hangs over your head. By consolidating your email response into 2 distinct high-focus windows, that immediate triage in the morning and the full clear-out by lunch, you establish an impenetrable boundary. You're telling your communications, I will address you at these specified times, rather than letting the inbox chime dictate the rhythm of your day.
Which maximizes focus for the afternoon when, let's be honest, cognitive energy often takes a nosedive.
Precisely.
That makes perfect sense. But before jumping into the specific tasks from those emails, the blueprint forces one more crucial moment of strategic oversight. I review goals for the week. This means looking at the things you intended to finish by Friday to see your current progress. What happens if you skip this step?
Well, if you skip this step, I can almost guarantee you will spend the entire week being busy without being effective.
Ouch. The busy trap again.
It's so easy to fall into. Most people jump from yesterday's tasks directly into today's most immediate demands. The loudest email, the closest deadline. Reviewing the weekly goals forces you to look up at the horizon.
See the big picture.
It demands a moment of metacognition. You have to ask yourself, are the tasks I'm about to execute today actually serving the strategic objectives for the week? Or am I just satisfying administrative minutia? For the learner, this is the differentiator. You have to ensure that the specific knowledge you gain or apply today is actually moving the needle on a larger project, that it's contributing to mastery, not just satisfying 5 low-value requests.
So this habit prevents the entire week from being unconsciously hijacked by tasks that don't really matter to your bigger professional goals.
Exactly. It's your strategic compass for the day. So as we transition into the midday, the blueprint shifts gears. It moves from that strategic planning of the morning to the intense execution and defense of your mental resources. This whole section is about sustained output.
Right, and here's where the proactive defense really begins. The first major habit is, I block time for deep work. This is the intentional act of planning a part of the day with 0 meetings, 0 talking, specifically for writing or thinking or finishing important tasks without distraction.
Blocking time for deep work, and by that we mean the high-value, complex cognitive effort that actually moves your expertise forward. It's an operational imperative. It is not a luxury.
You have to see it that way.
You have to. We must understand that our time is not a passive resource. It has to be actively defended. By blocking that time on your calendar, you treat it like an immovable external meeting.
You're telling your colleagues, and maybe more importantly, you're telling your own brain, that this time is sacred for concentration.
Yes. Studies on knowledge work confirm this again and again. If you do not actively schedule deep work, shallow work, the emails, the quick calls, the ad hoc meetings, it will automatically consume 100% of your available time.
And you'll end the day feeling busy, but like you accomplished nothing important.
Exactly. You'll feel busy but unproductive. This habit ensures the time you need for synthesis and for knowledge application is actually secured.
But blocking the time is only half the battle, right? We also need to defend it digitally. The blueprint includes 2 specific digital defense strategies. I turn off notifications during meetings, and then the repeated habit of I mute my phone during focus time. What is the actual cognitive tax of not doing this?
The tax is enormous, and it's surprisingly easy to calculate. This is where the 23-minute rule comes into play.
The 23-minute rule. Okay, what's that?
Research has shown pretty definitively that once you are substantially interrupted, and that means your attention shifts entirely, usually because of a sound or a vibration from your phone, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to the state of deep focus you had before the interruption.
23 minutes for one notification.
23 minutes. So think about that. If you get 3 non-critical notifications during a 1-hour deep work block, you haven't just lost the 30 seconds it took to glance at your phone.
You've lost nearly an hour of recovery time just getting back into the zone.
You've lost the entire hour. Muting your phone is not just polite, it is preventative maintenance for your most valuable asset, your sustained attention. In a meeting, muting is a commitment to effective listening. In deep work, it's a commitment to the quality of your output.
And this attention defense leads directly to what you call the core principle of cognitive efficiency, the anti-multitasking rule. The source specifies, I avoid multitasking during busy hours, preferring to focus on one task when busy to minimize mistakes. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Why is the active avoidance of multitasking a key habit for organization, especially when, our culture praises people for being able to juggle?
Because multitasking, as 99% of people practice it, is a complete myth.
A myth.
It is. It's simply rapid, inefficient, and highly draining task switching. Our brains are just not designed to process 2 complex streams of data at the same time. Every time you switch from, say, writing a report to answering a Slack message, your brain has to shut down the operating parameters for the first task and load up the parameters for the second.
And that switching has a cost.
A huge cost. This process leaves behind what neuroscientists call attention residue. Your focus is still partially stuck on the previous task. So when the hours are busy, meaning you're under time pressure, and the stakes are high task switching, is the fastest way to introduce errors, increase the time it takes to finish something, and drastically elevate your stress hormones.
Thus, a habit of single focus ensures quality control and, cognitive calm.
It's an organizational habit born out of self-preservation and the clear understanding that focused singularity beats scattered duality every single time.
Okay, so with our focus defended, the next steps in the blueprint address the necessary collaborative structure and the optimal timing of different types of work.
Yes, exactly. Now we get into structuring the flow of information.
It begins with synchronization. I join the daily team call at 10. This is that vital morning check-in to discuss plans, tasks, and updates. Why 10 a.m. specifically? Why not right at 9 a.m. when the day starts?
The timing is incredibly strategic because it respects that morning ritual phase we just talked about.
Right, gives you that first hour.
It does. If you start a mandatory call right at 9 a.m., you completely eliminate the time needed for the coffee ritual, for reviewing your notes, for that urgent communication triage. A 10 a.m. synchronization point assumes that the first hour has been dedicated to personal organization and tactical preparation.
So by 10 a.m., everyone is caffeinated, they know their objectives, and they've cleared the immediate email noise.
Exactly. The call can then focus entirely on strategic alignment. You discuss potential roadblocks, you make sure people aren't working at cross purposes. This brief, high-level morning sync prevents dozens of back-and-forth emails later and reduces organizational friction for the rest of the day.
And that initial organization allows for the strategic front-loading of complex work. The next habit, I usually finish reports before lunch. This strategy aims to complete important documents or summaries in the morning, freeing up the afternoon. Is this tied into our natural energy cycles?
It absolutely is. This is a perfect example of excellent energy management aligned with our biological clock. Most people, particularly those who identify as morning people, experience their peak cognitive performance in the late morning.
After the coffee, but before the lunch dip.
That's the prime window. Your best analytical and sustained attention capability is right there. And reports, complex documents, synthesizing data, that requires high analytical power. It's the definition of deep work. By front-loading these tasks, you ensure the highest quality output. You're maximizing your prime mental real estate.
And beyond that, I imagine there's a huge psychological relief. The heaviest lift of the day is done before noon.
Immense. The afternoon is then free for meetings, admin tasks, or less cognitively demanding work that isn't as affected by that inevitable post-lunch energy dip.
That focus on high-quality execution continues right into post-meeting behavior. I send out updates after each meeting. This is a vital communication habit to share decisions and next steps quickly with the team or the boss.
This habit is all about transforming discussion into tangible action items. It's about minimizing the half-life of decisions.
The half-life of decisions. I like that.
A meeting is inherently worthless if it doesn't result in clear decisions, assigned ownership, and then, subsequent action. By sending the update immediately, often within minutes of leaving the meeting, you capitalize on the high energy and the clarity of the discussion.
You solidify what was decided.
You solidify the decisions, you assign clear next steps, who does what by when, and you drastically reduce the opportunity for ambiguity. And ambiguity is the single biggest enemy of teamwork. It's the organizational equivalent of striking while the iron is hot. It just ensures that momentum is maintained.
And finally, in this section, we address the unavoidable organizational drag. I schedule time for admin tasks. This acknowledges that small, necessary tasks like filling out forms or reviewing expenses need dedicated planned time. Why not just squeeze them in between other tasks?
Because squeezing them in is just low-level, high-frequency context switching. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Administrative work is the necessary friction of professional life, but you can't allow it to interrupt your high-focus periods. The key is to schedule it. This habit encourages batching.
Batching, so doing all the similar little things at once.
Exactly. Think of it as consolidating all those small, low-effort tasks. The forms, the expense reports, the minor filing into one specific limited window, maybe 30 minutes in the late afternoon. Batching minimizes the cost of that task switching. Instead of wasting 5 minutes switching context 10 times throughout the day, you absorb the cost of switching once, and then you just execute all 10 tasks seamlessly.
And that frees up your mental energy during the deep work periods when it really matters most.
That's the whole game.
Okay, we've established the cognitive discipline, but the blueprint recognizes a critical truth. The body is the battery for the mind. So now we pivot to the habits that ensure sustainable productivity, not just these short bursts of outpouring.
This shift is absolutely vital. You cannot maximize your output over the long term without conscious, deliberate attention to your physical maintenance. Ignoring your physical health is the fastest way to invite burnout and cognitive decline.
The blueprint offers 4 physical resets, starting with this one. I take short breaks to stay focused. This is a necessary countermeasure to prevent tiredness or loss of focus from long working periods. So how short is short, and how does it actually enhance focus?
We're talking about what's known as the ultradian rhythm. Research in productivity suggests that the human brain works best in cycles, typically about 90 to 120 minutes of intense focus, followed by a necessary 15 to 20-minute break.
So our brains aren't meant to just go for 8 hours straight.
Not at all. Short breaks, even just 5 minutes every hour, are a form of active recovery. They allow your cognitive resources, specifically your attention reserves, to replenish. This is not laziness.
No, it's strategic.
It's a strategic productivity multiplier. A highly focused 50-minute interval followed by a 5-minute break to stand up or look out the window is infinitely more productive than a distracted, tired 90-minute struggle where you're fighting mental friction the entire time. The break prevents that buildup of cognitive fatigue that leads to sloppy mistakes and reduced retention.
That concept is immediately followed by a more substantial movement break. I take a walk during lunch, getting fresh air, moving the body. But given all the pressure to maximize efficiency, shouldn't we just be eating at our desks?
Eating at your desk is one of the worst things you can do. It destroys 2 vital resources, your focus and your psychological separation from work.
Okay.
Taking a walk is a critical investment in your afternoon productivity. It provides a shift in your environment and your physiology, the combination of daylight exposure.
Which helps regulate our internal clocks.
Your circadian rhythms, exactly. That, plus movement and fresh air, is a powerful antidote to the sedentary nature of desk work. It aids digestion and, most importantly, provides a clean psychological break before you re-engage with your work. You return to your desk with a fresh perspective, having incubated whatever problem you were facing just before lunch. This simple act reduces stress and replenishes your capacity for afternoon focus.
And to combat the sheer duration of sitting, which we all know is detrimental to our long-term health, we have this micro reset. I stretch the legs every hour.
This is just a proactive measure against immobility. For you, the learner, who is often intensely engrossed in complex material, it's so easy to realize you haven't moved for 3 hours straight.
Oh yeah, you get in the zone and forget the world exists.
Right. The hourly stretch is a non-negotiable physical timer. It's a small, mandatory disruption that ensures you don't become so engrossed that you forget your physical well-being. It promotes blood flow, which in turn feeds the brain. The physical act of standing up or changing your posture breaks the pattern of long-term stillness, and it serves as a great reminder to hydrate, which is the next key habit.
Speaking of which, the final two habits in this section address practical health and fuel management. I drink water regularly to stay fresh, and I bring lunch from home most days.
Oh.
How does controlling fluid intake and lunch choices elevate professional organization?
They are fundamental inputs for optimal cognitive output. Let's start with hydration. Even mild dehydration, we're talking as little as a 1 or 2% body mass loss, can significantly impair your cognitive function.
Really? That little?
That little. It can slow your reaction times, degrade your memory, and increase your perception of fatigue. Treating water intake as a scheduled habit, not just something you do when you're thirsty, ensures consistent brain performance and focus, especially during long analytical hours.
Okay. And bringing lunch from home.
Bringing lunch from home solves a significant problem: decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue.
Every single decision we make throughout the day, from what shirt to wear to how to phrase an email, draws from the same limited reserve of cognitive energy. The decision about what to eat for lunch, especially when you're already hungry, is a surprisingly high-cost decision.
I've definitely spent 15 minutes just staring at a menu, totally paralyzed.
Exactly. You're burning precious mental energy. By preparing your lunch the night before or having a consistent routine of bringing food, you eliminate that expenditure. You protect your limited cognitive energy for high-value work. Plus, you get consistent, reliable fuel. You avoid the blood sugar spikes and energy crashes that are so often associated with rushed restaurant or fast food choices. It aligns your health, your financial, and your cognitive goals all at once. So as we enter the consolidation phase of the workday, what we're calling the end game, the philosophy shifts. It moves from maximizing output to ensuring that all the gains from the day are locked down and secured. The goal is a calm, structured close that eliminates the need for stress or rework the following morning.
Okay, and the first action is a necessary checkpoint in the mid-afternoon. I check progress in the afternoon. This means stopping to look at what's been accomplished and what remains. When is the ideal time for this, and what is its organizational value?
The ideal time is typically around 3.0 or 3.3 p.m. This is your mid-course correction point for the day. If you wait until 4.55 p.m. to assess your day, it's usually too late to recover or shift your priorities.
I think a panic sets in.
Exactly. The mid-afternoon check forces realism. It allows you to quickly assess, do I have enough time left to finish that major task, or do I need to proactively communicate a delay? This is an act of professional transparency and risk management. It prevents that end-of-day panic. If you realize you can't finish the major report, you can dedicate the remaining time to clearing all the small administrative tasks instead, thereby achieving a different kind of productivity goal for the day.
That's smart, and tied directly to that assessment is the critical documentation habit. I note down what was finished today, making a short list in a notebook or an app to keep track of progress. This seems a little redundant if you're already using project management software. No. What's the unique benefit of this personal documentation?
It serves a crucial dual function. It's organizational proof and it's psychological closure. Organizationally, it provides a clear, high-level record of your achievement that's instantly available for status updates, performance reviews, or just for reminding yourself of your contribution. But the psychological benefit is arguably even more important.
How so?
By physically ticking off or listing your completed items, you reinforce a sense of accomplishment. This actively prevents that pervasive feeling so common among knowledge workers that I was busy all day, but I achieved nothing tangible.
I know that feeling all too well.
We all do. And that feeling erodes motivation. Documenting your achievements provides an undeniable, concrete list of your wins, and that fuels your motivation for the next day.
And underpinning all of this is continuous organizational hygiene. I update the to-do list during the day, adding new tasks or marking completed ones to stay in control. If this is a living document, how often should it realistically be updated to avoid it becoming a distraction itself?
You have to treat your to-do list like a secondary brain, an external memory system that you fully 100% trust. Ideally, you update it the instant you receive a new task or complete an old one. This isn't a distraction, it's an immediate release of mental overhead.
So you're getting it out of your head and onto the page.
You're offloading it. When you capture a fleeting thought or a delegated task right away, you eliminate the background mental noise associated with trying to remember it later. If you trust your external list to remember for you, you free up valuable cognitive RAM, your immediate working memory, for the actual high-level analysis and problem-solving that your job requires. The habit of continuous, low-friction list maintenance ensures you stay in dynamic control.
Okay, so with the day's tasks accounted for, the focus shifts to creating a clean environment for the next start. This involves both the physical and the digital realm.
Yes, both are critical.
Let's start with the physical tidy-up. I organize my desk in the afternoon. Cleaning and arranging papers and items. Is a tidy space simply aesthetically pleasing, or does it have a measurable impact on tomorrow's performance?
It has a profound impact, and it's directly linked to reduced cognitive load.
Okay.
When you return to a cluttered desk in the morning, your brain is immediately forced to process the residual chaos of the day before. Unnecessary papers, stray coffee mugs, unrelated files. This sorting requires mental effort. It uses up your finite cognitive energy before you've even logged in.
So you're starting the day with a deficit.
You are. Organizing your desk in the afternoon is an intentional investment in tomorrow's focus. It provides a clean slate, both literally and figuratively. It ensures that when you sit down, your visual environment supports calm, focused thought rather than reminding you of yesterday's incomplete tasks.
Now, for the digital hygiene, which is arguably even more critical today, the blueprint lists 3 very specific digital closing habits. First, the resilience habit. I save important documents to the cloud.
This is the organizational bedrock. This is the resilience habit that ensures business continuity. In our complex digital ecosystem, relying solely on local storage on your laptop is, frankly, organizational negligence.
That's a strong word.
It's true. Saving to the cloud ensures that regardless of a physical hardware failure, an accidental deletion, or some other localized issue, your work product is safe, it's backed up, and it's accessible from anywhere. For the learner, whose core value is accumulated knowledge, losing a document due to poor saving habits is catastrophic. This is the simplest form of high-stakes risk management applied daily.
Second, and highly relatable to anyone who works online, I clean up the desktop and close tabs, organizing the screen, putting files in folders so everything is ready for the next day. How is closing a web browser a productivity habit?
This targets what I call digital debt. Think about the psychological weight of a browser that's open with 25 or 30 tabs.
I'm looking at one right now.
We all are. Each one of those tabs represents an incomplete thought, an unresolved query, or a potential distraction. Even if you're not actively looking at them, those tabs drain your background mental energy. They signal unfinished business.
So cleaning up the desktop and closing tabs is a forced decision point.
It is. You have to ask, is this essential for tomorrow? If yes, I'll save it to a specific folder and close the tab. If no, I'll discard it. This critical decision-making ensures that you are only carrying necessary context forward, and it dramatically reduces that sense of digital overwhelm that plagues so many modern workers.
And finally, a very specific and formal closing. I shut down the computer properly. Explicitly saving work and shutting down, distinguishing this from just closing the lid or putting the computer to sleep. Is this just technical maintenance, or is there a psychological component here?
It's a profound psychological and technical sign-off. Closing the lid is convenient, sure, but it allows background processes and lingering notifications to potentially leak into your personal time. Shutting down properly is a formal punctuation mark on the workday.
The period at the end of the sentence.
It is. It forces that final confirmation that all your files are saved, and it provides a hard physical break. That action tells your brain definitively the work center is now closed. And that clarity prevents work residual from accidentally intruding on your recovery time, ensuring a higher quality mental separation and better rest.
Okay, so we've consolidated and secured today's work. The final sequence of habits ensures that tomorrow's start is not just smooth, but highly effective. It eliminates that dreaded cold start problem.
Yes, this is all about priming yourself for success tomorrow.
It starts with foresight. I usually check tomorrow's schedule before leaving, looking ahead at meetings, tasks, or reminders. Why is this more effective at 5 p.m. than at 8 a.m.?
Because at 5 p.m. you are still in professional mode, and the information you absorb has time to incubate overnight.
Incubate?
Yes. Checking the schedule at the end of the day eliminates morning anxiety. The cold start problem is often caused by walking into work blind, only to discover a critical early meeting or a major deliverable due that you haven't prepared for. By checking tonight, you preload the critical context. Your subconscious can actually process this information while you sleep, which means you walk into the office with an established plan, feeling proactive and in control, rather than reactive and rushed.
Even more proactively, the blueprint suggests, I prepare talking points for tomorrow's meeting, making a short list of ideas or updates to feel more ready and confident when speaking. This is fascinating. It's like planning the performance the day before.
That is the essence of cognitive priming. If you know you have to present updates or contribute substantially to a high-stakes discussion, writing down those 3 key bullet points utilizes the brain's incubation period.
So you're using your downtime effectively.
You are. The actual content is fresh in your mind from the preceding workday, which makes the preparation quick. Then, during the night, your brain organizes and solidifies that content, which often makes your delivery clearer, more articulate, and certainly more confident the next day. It substantially reduces the performance pressure and mental stress associated with important professional interactions. You've essentially done the heavy lifting while your analytical engine was already running hot.
And lastly, I had it focused entirely on collaboration. I update availability for the next week, informing the team or boss of your free time to assist with future planning.
This is a powerful yet so often overlooked organizational courtesy that dramatically reduces future administrative overhead. Scheduling conflicts are massive time sinks.
The endless email chain of what time works for you.
Exactly. Instead of forcing others to repeatedly negotiate meetings or interrupt your focus time with scheduling requests, you proactively provide the information necessary for the team to plan efficiently around you. This simple habit minimizes future interruptions, thereby protecting your deep work blocks for next week. It's a habit that pays dividends well beyond the day it's performed.
Okay, this final section defines the rules of engagement for a professional life that has to be sustainable. It's all about creating the necessary separation between work and personal life and ensuring continuous growth.
The hard stop is non-negotiable for recovery. Without effective recovery, the high level of output generated by the previous, 45 habits is just impossible to maintain long-term. The blueprint provides 3 sequential steps for a definitive end to the day.
First, the digital cutoff. I log out of my work apps at 5. This is a specific action at a certain time to help end the workday and take a break. Why the emphasis on logging out versus just, minimizing the screen?
Logging out is a decisive technical action that reinforces the psychological boundary. Minimizing the screen is a passive gesture. Logging out makes it technically and psychologically difficult to just slip back into work mode later in the evening.
It adds a layer of friction.
A critical layer of friction. It signals a definitive closure. Furthermore, it ensures that your phone or tablet won't buzz at 8 p.m. with a notification because you have formally disconnected the channel. This decisive boundary is critical to protecting your evening mental resources.
Then the social closes. I say goodbye to coworkers before leaving. A polite and friendly action whether you're in the office or online. Why is this social ritual important for organization?
This habit humanizes the end of the workday and provides a necessary social cue for closure. Not just for you, but for the entire team. Whether as a physical farewell or a quick message on a remote chat platform, signing off for the day, see you all tomorrow, it acknowledges the collaboration and it sets an expectation for availability. It prevents assumptions about immediate access, reinforcing that digital boundary you just established by logging out of your apps.
And finally, consistency in the transition. I leave work around 5:30 every day, establishing a consistent routine time, and I usually take the same bus home, establishing a steady commute routine. What is the value of this structural consistency?
Consistency creates predictability, and predictability is the antithesis of stress. The combination of a fixed departure time and a steady commute routine establishes what psychologists call a liminal space.
A liminal space.
It's essentially a mental bridge. It's the buffer zone between your professional identity and your personal identity. The physical movement of the commute, especially a routine one like the same bus route, gives your brain a structured, predictable period to decompress. You are intentionally shifting your focus from work problems, the complex reports and communication issues, to your personal life and recovery. This physical and temporal separation is key to mental recovery and prevents the work mindset from leaking into your home life.
This brings us to the ultimate boundary, and probably the most challenging one to enforce in a globally connected world. I don't check work emails after 6. That's a firm line. But what about the reality of global teams or clients in different time zones? Isn't this habit a bit of a luxury for most modern workers?
It is a critical habit, but you raise a fair challenge. The source implicitly defines this not as a blanket refusal to engage with the world, but as a deliberate effort to separate work from personal time to ensure recovery.
So it's about the principle, not the specific time.
Exactly. For those working globally, the boundary has to shift, but the principle remains. You must define a window where you are non-contactable by work. If your job requires a 9 p.m. check-in for the Asian markets, then your actual recovery window must be strictly enforced from, say, 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
You still need that protected time.
But for the vast majority of workers, the rule is non-negotiable. Checking emails late at night reintroduces stress, it stimulates your mind with problems you cannot solve until the morning, and it effectively eliminates the necessary recovery period. If sustainable productivity is the goal, disconnecting entirely for a significant period is mandatory. Checking an email at 9 p.m. gives your mind a problem to chew on all night, degrading the quality of your sleep and your clarity the next morning. This habit is the final defense against work creep. It preserves your mental capital.
That focus on sustainable energy and continuous learning really reinforces the learner's mindset. And that's why the final habit listed is so important. I join training sessions every Thursday, attending a class or workshop to learn new things for your job or for personal growth.
This is the long-term investment that completes the entire blueprint. If all 50 habits were purely focused on efficiency, on just maximizing the output of your existing skills, the learner would become a highly optimized task completion machine, but ultimately they become stagnant.
Right. You'd just be doing the same thing faster.
Precisely. Scheduling continuous learning, like a dedicated training session, ensures that the optimal workday is also an improving workday. You are investing in future knowledge, future skills, and future efficiency. It guarantees that time is deliberately set aside, not just for doing, but for growing, for synthesizing new knowledge, and for applying it. It's the difference between operating efficiently and operating at a continuously increasing level of competence. By placing this habit at the end, the blueprint reminds us that efficiency is merely the foundation for growth.
We've also found other small habits scattered throughout the sources that really reinforce this theme of discipline, such as I try to stay off social media at work, and the one we mentioned before, I mute my phone during focus time. All 50 points seem to point back to the same cohesive philosophy.
They do. It's all about control. Control over your environment, control over your time, and control over your energy. The avoidance of social media is just another form of attention defense. It's recognizing that the instant gratification loop is a direct competitor to deep, valuable work. If we look back at the entire 50-point blueprint, the structured start, the email triage, the deep work blocks, the movement breaks, the digital cleanup, the structured log off, it combines into a single cohesive system designed to maximize intentionality and minimize reactive behavior. It's a complete architecture for professional self-mastery.
So we started this deep dive seeing what looked like a simple list of 50 phrases from a language lesson. We've ended with a comprehensive 4-part strategy for professional self-management. What does this all mean for you, the listener? It means that the highest levels of productivity and knowledge retention, they are not innate qualities. They are built entirely on small, repeatable, conscious decisions, consistently applied from the moment you log in to the moment you decisively log out.
And for you, the learner, the value here is in the structured clarity this provides. This blueprint replaces the anxiety of information overload and the chaos in an unstructured day with deliberate, time-bound, and energy-aware action. It provides the methodology for how to organize the time and the energy necessary to absorb and apply new knowledge effectively, ensuring sustained focus and growth.
We dedicate a lot of time to Section 3, the end game, highlighting the importance of closing the day properly, saving documents, cleaning the desk, preparing for the next morning. If the goal is seamless continuity and completely eliminating that cold start problem, which specific action mentioned in our wrap-up, besides the mandatory action of logging out of apps, gives you the most control over tomorrow.
It has to be the cognitive preparation step. It's a 2-parter. Checking tomorrow's schedule and preparing the talking points for tomorrow's meeting. Checking the schedule provides the strategic map. It ensures you know where you need to be. But preparing the talking points, that provides the mental ammunition. It utilizes the brain's overnight incubation period to ensure that your first high-stakes interaction the next morning is performed with confidence, with clarity, and with competence.
So that small moment of focused preparation buys you huge returns in performance and confidence the moment you clock in.
It's the ultimate leverage point for starting your day strong.
A perfect insight to close on. That intentionality is the secret ingredient. Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll catch you next time.